Since the first assembly line built automobile was created by the Ford Motor Company in 1908, the United States began an evolution of transportation through engineering, speed, and design with the invention of the car. From that point on, cars would become an everyday necessity to get us to the places we wanted to go. For some, cars were used to push and test the limits in the art of speed and precision. Over the years, the sport of stock car racing has caught the appeal of sports fans and car enthusiasts. This storied racetrack nestled in a small beach town will become iconic for stock car racing and its most storied and prestigious event, rooted from the tire marks in the sand from the beach. The track carries its legacy as the world's center of racing. Winning here makes you an instant legend. In today's installment of Stadium Safari, we will explore the history of Daytona International Speedway. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the like button for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to show your support and be on the lookout for future videos. Located 50 miles north of Orlando, the Daytona International Speedway sits at 1801 West International Speedway Boulevard in the small beach town of Daytona Beach, Florida. Breaking ground in 1957 and opening in 1959 with a current capacity of 101,500 that is expandable to 167,785 varying the event. The track consists of an asphalt surface with the tri-oval section ranging 2.5 miles and the road course section ranging 3.56 miles. The track's most prestigious event is the Daytona 500 for NASCAR. At the time of construction, the cost was $3 million, which is $29.6 million today when calculating inflation. We begin with how stock car racing was created, which I'll let Ricky Bobby explain.
Where'd stock car racing come from?
What? Hey, stop doing that!
How'd stock car racing get its start?
Bootleggers during Prohibition, they had to have cars fast enough to outrun the feds, and they started racing each other.
That's right.
Okay, that's only a small part of how it started. The actual creation of professional stock car racing started with a man by the name of Bill France Sr. During the Great Depression, a young Bill France moved from his home in Washington, D.C. to Daytona Beach to open a service station and to be close to the land speed record chasers who would aim to break speed records with their souped-up cars on the sandy beaches of Daytona. However, when promoters discovered the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah, land speed record events would vanish from Daytona, causing the town to lose its claim to fame for attracting said events. The racing tradition in Daytona Beach was revived by Bill France and driver Sig Hogdahl after creating a stock car race on the Daytona Beach Road Course, a configured 3-mile race course built on the beach in 1936. The inaugural event would have a large turnout, which also gained approval from the Daytona Beach Elks Club to help promote and fund future events. Racers from around the country would flock to Daytona Beach to compete for the prize money awarded to the winners, turning Daytona into a race car driver's paradise, literally. After a hiatus from racing due to World War II, France would focus his attention back on being a full-time race promoter. He noticed that drivers were being duped by other race promoters who would leave events before paying the winners the prize money that was promised. It was on December 14, 1947, when Bill France would call a meeting for drivers, mechanics, and car owners at the Streamline Hotel in Daytona Beach to discuss a plan to make stock car racing a legitimate sport with uniform rules, insurance coverage, and guaranteed prize money for race winners. It was on February 21st, 1948, when Bill France Sr. announced the creation of the sanctioning body for stock car racing, the National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing, commonly known as NASCAR. With the establishment of NASCAR, this would mean that drivers who wish to compete in a NASCAR sanctioned series would have to meet certain qualifications to enter any sanctioned event put on by the association. Today, NASCAR's premier series would be known as the NASCAR Grand National Series, which is known today as the Nascar Cup Series. While NASCAR would still host races on the Daytona Beach Road Course, they would venture out to different towns in the southern United States to host races on the local dirt tracks. One of them being Occoneechee Speedway in Hillsborough, North Carolina, which Bill France built in 1947. Ex-bootleggers such as Junior Johnson, Lee Petty, and Wendell Scott would partake in NASCAR during its maiden years and had the upper hand in competition due to their driving skills and engineering expertise, all in the process of making money legally. The sport would continue to grow in popularity going into the 1950s, and Bill France began to broaden his vision in building more speedways across the country. One of them was in the town where it all started. If you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit the like button for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to show your support and be on the lookout for future videos. Bill France would begin to construct racetracks across the country to draw bigger crowds to races. While hotels were being built on the beachfront of the former Daytona Beach road course, France would use a plot of land 7 miles from the beach to build a 2.5-mile high-bank superspeedway with engineer Charles Moneypenny. The banking on the turns of the track is 31 degrees high, which allows cars to maintain top speeds for a full lap. The layout would include a tri-oval and a road course section, along with a 180-acre infield to accommodate for additional seating and RV parking for campers. Also included is a 29-acre lake called Lake Lloyd. 1957 would begin the construction of the Daytona International Speedway, moving all of NASCAR's sanctioned events from the new hotel and resort-filled beach to the spacious high-banked asphalt oval track. The process of getting funding for the track wasn't easy for France. Despite France taking out a second mortgage on his house and selling 300,000 shares worth of stock to Daytona residents, he also received funding from Texas oil tycoon Clint Murchison, the Pepsi-Cola company, and General Motors car designer Harley Earl. France hoped that his return on investment would come from race ticket sales. The first ever point scoring race at the Daytona International Speedway took place on February 22, 1959, with the inaugural running of the Daytona 500 in front of a sellout crowd of 42,000 fans. The race was decided by a photo finish between Lee Petty and Johnny Beauchamp, with Petty coming out as the winner of the race after it took NASCAR 3 days to review the finish. From that point on, the Daytona 500 would become the most prestigious race on the NASCAR schedule. The rise of NASCAR would grow nationwide, and in 1969, France would build the 2.66-mile Talladega Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama, to outsize that of Daytona, which I will feature in a later installment. As for Daytona's growth, the track would also host sports car racing events to maintain the cash flow and upkeep for event hosting. A sports car event race featured annually at Daytona is the 24 Hours of Daytona. Starting in 1966, this event is designed as a 24-hour race taking place on the road course section of the track, which is inverted with the oval section. It is designed as an endurance race where drivers would tag team with each other by using the same car to help their team win at the end of the 24-hour mark. I recommend that you go watch the movie Ford vs. Ferrari to learn more about endurance racing and 24-hour races. It wouldn't be until 2020 when NASCAR would run its first ever race on the road course section of Daytona, since the cars were more suitable to race on the tri-oval portion. As for the popularity of the Great American Race, the first nationally broadcasted Daytona 500 was the 1979 race. This Daytona 500 in particular was the most important race in stock car racing history. Some of the headlines going into the race were the Daytona 500 debut of Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, the son of the inaugural event winner Lee Petty, going for his 6th Daytona 500 victory, and the rivalry between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison. The race was thrilling in the early stages, with the drivers mentioned battling for positions and leading laps throughout, but the big shocker was the finish of the race and the aftermath that came with it.
The last lap, trying to take it home. It's all come down to this. Out of turn 2, Donnie Allison in first. Where will Cale make his move? He comes to the inside. Donnie Allison throws the block. Cale hits him. He slides. Donnie Allison slides. They hit again. They drive into the turn. They're hitting the wall. They're head on the wall. They slide down to the inside. Let's watch those third-place cars. They're out of it. Down. Richard Petty is now pulling out in front. Darrell Waltrip is in second. A.J. Foyt is in third. Here they come. Waltrip trying to slingshot. Petty is out in front at the line. Waltrip to the inside. Petty wins it. 6th career, and there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison. The tempers overflowing. They're angry. They know they have lost. And what a bitter defeat.
The Daytona 500 of 1979 would become the aha moment for Bill France's creation of NASCAR. Going to the 80s and the 90s, the sport would gain national appeal, with races being watched by millions from around the country during the season. However, the Daytona 500 would remain as the most watched race on the calendar consecutively during the season. What makes the Daytona 500 unique is that it's considered NASCAR's version of the Super Bowl, the World Series, or NBA Finals as the biggest race of the season. The only difference from the ball and stick sports' biggest events is that the race is the opening event for NASCAR Cup Series regular season. Thousands of fans will travel to Daytona every February for Daytona Speed Weeks, which are the events that help kick off the NASCAR season, with the Clash at Daytona with the exception of 2022, the Daytona Dual races to help determine the field lineup for the Daytona 500, the ARCA Series race, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, and NASCAR Xfinity Series races, all events leading up to the main event of the Daytona 500. The arrangement of events hosted by the Daytona International Speedway has been a tradition in NASCAR since the track opened in 1959, with other events supplementing the track's most famous event. Even with the track being historic in the world of motorsports, it has also been a place of controversy and danger. If you're still enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit the like button for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to show your support and be on the lookout for future videos. Over the years, racing has been considered a dangerous sport. When on a racetrack, drivers don't just race to win, but they also race to survive. The creation of the Daytona International Speedway has had a string of fatalities throughout the years. In total, the track has had 40 on-track fatalities occur. Even with the most recognized wrecks of them all, for every race at Daytona, and even Talladega, the big one, every driver makes sure to avoid it at all costs. When Dale Earnhardt debuted at the 1979 Daytona 500, he would accomplish a lot throughout his career. The Kannapolis, North Carolina native would go 20 years without winning the Great American Race, eventually winning it in 1998, which was the highlight of his career and his only Daytona 500 victory. Earnhardt would be one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time, winning a total of 76 Cup Series races in a 27-year career and an all-time record of 7 NASCAR Cup Series championships, tying with Richard Petty, who would be a 7-time Daytona 500 winner, and Jimmy Johnson, who won the Daytona 500 twice. Even with NASCAR's advancements in driver and track safety with the restrictor plate and wall cushions, it was only realized when the life of the NASCAR legend lost his life in the track's most prestigious event. The 2001 Daytona 500 will be Dale Earnhardt's final race and final day. One of the on-track witnesses was the second place finisher of the race, who was also one of Earnhardt's next of kin. The son of the legend, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would continue his father's legacy and become the face of NASCAR for the next generation. He would win the Great American Race twice, but would not surpass his father's accomplishments in his career. Daytona is known to have some of the most violent wrecks in NASCAR history due to the track layout and the speeds that the drivers can reach. At most, the cars are topping out at just over 200 miles per hour on the superspeedway, and the margin for error is very slim when trying to avoid a wreck. All the reasons why driver safety has been prioritized whenever NASCAR goes to Daytona during the season. The Daytona International Speedway is one of the most iconic sporting venues ever built. For a sport that started its roots from racing on the sandy beaches of Daytona 7 miles down the road to now competing on the 2.5-mile asphalt superspeedway shows how far the sport has come from its beginnings. For a sport that has adapted to the times and preserved the history of its fabled track, it is safe to say that Daytona will continue to be at the center of motorsports and its glory, especially carrying the nickname as the world center of racing. This concludes today's installment of Stadium Safari. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell to be on the lookout for future videos, and let me know what stadiums you want to see next. Thank you for watching, and remember, teams tell the stories, the stadiums illustrate them.